Hey guys, Thomas Sicily Jr. here, aka Mustached. I'm here to talk E3 2019. I did not do the live stream thing, so I decided to do a more post discussion on at least what has been going on so far, so I'll do a separate one for the Nintendo stuff when that drops. So, yeah, so far, the events I've seen, we'll start with Microsoft and we'll work our way in the time that I saw them anyway. The highlight, I think, for the majority of people will be Cyberpunk 7, with the one Keanu Reeves as a sort of a guide-like character, it would appear. There's a little glimmer of gameplay there at the end of the trailer and the release date as well. That's coming in sometime at 2020. I should have written it down, but this is just an unscripted video, so I figured I'd just kind of wing it. One of the main reasons I decided not to do the whole live reaction things to the E3 stuff is that a lot of the stuff had leaked as soon as I even started considering doing the live reaction, which means like the only thing that would have probably gotten a genuine reaction out of me would have been the whole Keanu Reeves being in Cyberpunk 2077. And yeah, it just seems a little unnecessary to do something like that if the reaction's not gonna be like super ecstatic or like, oh, that game's coming out, you know. There are a few games I wasn't aware that leaked. Apparently there was this Dragon Ball Kakarot game that had leaked prior, but I didn't know about it. So there were some leaks that I didn't even know that were happening, and there were some that I definitely knew about. As far as Microsoft's more commonplace games, you know, that's for their audience. I haven't really touched Xbox really all that much. The last Halo game that I played was Halo 2, and the last Gears game was, that I played anyways, was 3. So now they're at like their 5th installment for Gears, they're at whatever installment for Halo, so there's those, for the people that want to play those. So yeah, that was Microsoft's conference, and there were a few other games, besides Cyberpunk 2077, the other game that caught my interest was a game called 12 Minutes. This is a game that involves time looping back to a certain point, and I guess you only have 12 minutes to sort of put together what has been going on each time. And that must be a really well-written game if everything you have to do has to be within 12 minutes. There has to be quite a few things going on each time. So that definitely holds my interest. I'm not sure if that game's coming to PC. If it is, I will definitely give that a shot then. There was also that deer game. I think that one was called Way to the Woods. Pretty cute looking game. Oh, that actually also reminded me of another game that I didn't know about, Spiritfarer. It seems to be some sort of, you find spirits, you sort of guide them back, and that seems to be the entire premise, but I didn't catch a release date on that, so I don't know when that's coming out. Those were the 3 games that the other games I was like, oh, okay, that's a little bit different. And that was Microsoft's, everything I can think of off the top of my head for Microsoft. Bethesda's E3 conference also happened, and the only game that has my interest right now is Doom Eternal. All the other games, I've never really gotten in. I know this is probably gonna blow people away that I never really got into Skyrim or Oblivion or any of those games, or the Elder Scrolls. I haven't really touched any of them myself all that much, so I don't know, like, you know, I don't know. So yeah, that was about it. The only thing that caught my interest was Doom Eternal. Other than that, their conference did it as an overall arcing sort of like show was pretty tame. Doom was the last thing they showed. It was the thing that got probably the most attention. And the other thing I saw was this Devolver mini conference, I suppose, which was like the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I would definitely just link you to Young Year's coverage of that. That was a bit wild. And there was like some sort of goopy monster thing. I don't even remember what the game was called. I think it's like Chiron or however you pronounce it. I think that's what it's called. Oh, jeez. So yeah, there was that. Was there anything else? Yeah, that little mini conference is bizarre, but nonetheless, I think that's everything so far that it can cover for E3, at least for the things that have popped up yesterday. So we shall see what happens next. Nintendo's thing will be tomorrow. I'll try to do a live stream of that. I'll announce that here. I actually have a Nintendo Switch, and it does feel like a lot less has been leaked to my knowledge for Nintendo, with the exception of one of the most important things, which is Smash characters. Jeez, I am not a fan of that at all. All these leakers trying to spill all these characters. I remember when Joker was a fresh, like, even though apparently I learned after the fact that Joker was apparently leaked, which is fine if I learned that afterwards. But Joker to me was like something that blew up naturally for the most part. It didn't feel like the leak to me got to a lot of people, because that one really dropped. And it dropped probably. I think one of the better opportunities is that when it dropped, also caught people off guard. So yeah, Joker definitely was. They're like, this is like what it's gonna be like. And then after that, all of the leakers kind of like came out of the woodworks, and then as E3 grew closer, I'm not even gonna say all, the potential leaked characters. I wouldn't do that to my audience. If I'm gonna do a spoiler review, I will put spoiler in the title, and then I will release it on the day of the movie. I'm not gonna release a movie review a few days early to get extra views. I'm never gonna do that to you. I'm not gonna. That is so unfair for me to do something like that. I feel like that takes away from these presenters that put all that hard work into it to reveal it on that date. So I wouldn't want to do that to them either. So I will remain silent on, if you already know, then keep that to yourselves. Don't put it in the comments of my section. At least try to be generous in that regard. For people who might not even know still, that might be catching the E3 Nintendo conference. Again, I'll still be live streaming it. I feel like since I do have a Nintendo Switch, I feel like I should be paying a little bit more attention to that. Sony apparently doesn't even have a conference, which based on all the leaks that have been going down, I actually don't even blame them for skipping out on E3, if that really is true. There seems to be some games coming out from Sony, but they seem to be part of different conferences, so we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, Sony, as an overarching company, doesn't seem to be a part of E3 in any regard. And again, I don't even feel like that's such a bad decision right now, since again, with all the leaks, it feels like it doesn't even matter if they skipped out or not. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with future Sony games. It seems like they're doing more of a Nintendo thing with the little State of Play event. And who knows? That might actually prove better to Sony right now, especially with all these leaks that have been coming out for E3 in general. It might be better to start doing these sort of, when things are ready to announce them in these little blocks so that there's less chance of them getting leaked early. That might actually prove to be really, really good. I've seen some people reacting to the first State of Play and them not being that interested, and then the second one really boosted up the games that were announced in the second State of Play for Sony. So if they continue that pattern, if they continue to prove that this whole State of Play thing can be a good thing, then I think that's the way to go for these sort of announcements, is just announce them in these little bundle packages, and then that will help avoid potential leakers, maybe for a while anyways. It seems like that's a better route for Sony right now. So yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. So yeah, outside of E3, the things I know about are Death Stranding. I already pre-ordered that. So you can expect that on my channel on day of release. Or the day after, depending on what's going on that day. But I'll try to get a part 1 a day of release. I know I'm a super busy Let's Player, but I'll try to make some room for at least a part 1. So there's Death Stranding. Outside of that, was there any other announcements outside of E3 that were critical to announce here? Not off the top of my head. Yeah, everything is either being leaked or being shown at E3. So that is the state of E3. So again, the highlight, I think, so far as the overall encompassing E3, I think the two games that are really shaking up is Cyberpunk 2077 and Doom Eternal. Those are the only two games that are way up there. And again, 12 minutes definitely has my interest, my personal interest, in terms of storytelling and what you can tell in 12 minutes and all that good stuff. So hopefully, again, that'll be released on PC. I'll give it a shot. I'll see if I can get my hands on that then. Other than that, I'm not really sure. Those other smaller games I mentioned might be a small little, these other small little cute things that might spark some interest. We'll see. So yeah, that is my current 2019 coverage for E3. I don't mind it being a much shorter video for just going off the cuff, saying my impressions, giving you the highlights, the lowlights from Bethesda, and everything in between. So, if you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my Discord server, the other to my Patreon page. Any donations are greatly appreciated. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.